The 7,268th meeting of the Security Council is called to order. The provisional agenda for this meeting is Peace and Security in Africa, Ebola. The agenda is adopted. In accordance with Rule 37 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the representatives of Albania, Andorra, Angola, Austria, Bangladesh, Belgium, Belize, Bhutan, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Botswana, Brazil, Bulgaria, Burkina Faso, Burundi, Cameroon, Canada, Colombia, Congo, Cote d'Ivoire, Croatia, Cuba, Cyprus, Democratic Republic of Congo, Denmark, Djibouti, Dominican Republic, Egypt, Eritrea, Estonia, Finland, Georgia, Germany, Greece, Grenada, Guinea, Guyana, Czech Republic, Honduras, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Iraq, Israel, Italy, Japan, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Lebanon, Liberia, Libya, Liechtenstein, Malaysia, Maldives, Mali, Mauritius, Marshall Islands, Malawi, Moldova, Monaco, Montenegro, Morocco, Mozambique, Namibia, Nauru, Nepal, the Netherlands, New Zealand, Niger, Norway, Panama, Poland, Portugal, Qatar, Romania, Samoa, San Marino, Sao Tome and Principe, Senegal, Seychelles, Sierra Leone, Slovakia, Slovenia, Solomon Islands, Somalia, South Sudan, Spain, Sri Lanka, Suriname, Sweden, Switzerland, Thailand, the former Yugoslav Republic of Macedonia, Timor-Leste, Togo, Trinidad and Tobago, Tunisia, Turkey, Uganda, Ukraine, Uruguay, Yemen, and Zambia to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite the following briefers to participate in this meeting. Dr. David Nabarro, Senior United Nations System Coordinator for Ebola. Dr. Margaret Chan, Director General of the World Health Organization. Mr. Jackson Niama from Médecins Sans Frontières. It is so decided. On behalf of the Council, I welcome Mr. Niama, who is joining us today via video teleconference from Monrovia. Let me note that Mr. Niama will only be with us through part of this meeting so that he can return to his life-saving work in MSF's Ebola Treatment Center in Monrovia. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rules of Procedure, I invite His Excellency Mr. Thomas Meyer Harding, head of the delegation of the European Union to the United Nations, to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. In accordance with Rule 39 of the Council's Provisional Rule of Procedures, I invite His Excellency Mr. Tete Antonio, Permanent Observer of the African Union to the United Nations, to participate in this meeting. It is so decided. The Security Council will now begin its consideration of Item 2 of the agenda. I wish to warmly welcome the Secretary General, His Excellency Mr. Ban Ki-moon, and I now give him the floor.
Thank you. Madam President of the Security Council, distinguished members of the Security Council, honorable ministers, excellencies, Dr. Margaret Chan, Director General of the World Health Organization, and Dr. David Nabarro, Senior Coordinator on Ebola, Mr. Jackson Myanmar, Médecins Sans Frontières, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank Ambassador Power and the United States for convening this Security Council session on the Ebola virus disease. Only twice before has the Security Council met to discuss the security implications of a public health issue. Both times, on the AIDS epidemic. Like those meetings, today's session on the outbreak of Ebola in West Africa is timely and clearly warranted. The Ebola crisis has evolved into a complex emergency with a significant political, social, economic, humanitarian, and security dimensions. The suffering and spillover effects in the region and beyond demand the attention of the entire world. Ebola matters to us all. The outbreak is the largest the world has ever seen. The number of cases is doubling every 3 weeks. There will soon be more cases in Liberia alone than in the 4-decade history of the disease. In the 3 most affected countries, Guinea, Liberia, and Sierra Leone, the disease is destroying health systems. More people are now dying in Liberia from treatable ailments and common medical conditions than from Ebola. The virus is also taking an economic toll. Inflation and food prices are rising. Transport and social services are being disrupted. The situation is especially tragic given the remarkable strides that Liberia and Sierra Leone have made in putting conflict behind them. National governments are doing everything they can. I applaud the courageous actions of the governments, communities, and individuals on the front lines, including local health workers, Médecins Sans Frontières, the International Federation for the Red Cross and Red Crescent, and the United Nations entities. The gravity and scale of the situation now require a level of international action unprecedented for a health emergency. Madam President, Excellencies, the leaders of the affected countries have asked the United Nations to coordinate the global response. We are committed to do what is needed with the speed and scale required. Under the leadership of Dr. Margaret Chan, the World Health Organization is working to identify the best epidemiological ways to address the outbreak. I have activated for the first time the system-wide organizational crisis response mechanism under the leadership of Anthony Bambury. An Ebola Response Center is operational. With the support of the government of Ghana and UNMIL, the UN peacekeeping mission in Liberia, an air bridge has been established in Accra to facilitate the influx of key health responders and equipment. The UN Humanitarian Air Service is operating between the countries. UNMIL is adapting its tasks to the current context, and the Undersecretary General for Peacekeeping Operations, Hervé Latsus, visited Monrovia last week to assure Liberia's leaders of the mission's support. In addition to the many local and international workers already on the ground, WHO, UNDP, UNICEF, WFP, and others are actively delivering emergency assistance. The UN Volunteers Program has identified more than 200 healthcare professionals and other experts willing to be trained and deployed. Despite these wide-ranging efforts, the spread of the disease is outpacing the response. No single government can manage the crisis on its own. The United Nations cannot do it alone. And this unprecedented situation requires unprecedented steps to save lives and safeguard peace security. Therefore, I have decided to establish a United Nations Emergency Health Mission combining the World Health Organization's strategic perspective with a very strong logistics and operational capability. This international mission, to be known as the United Nations Mission for Ebola Emergency Response, or UNMEER, UNMEER, will have 5 priorities. stopping the outbreak, treating the infected, ensuring essential services, preserving stability, and preventing further outbreaks. Under the leadership of Special Representative of the Secretary General, the mission will bring together the full range of UN actors and expertise in support of national efforts. It will draw on the capacities of many international partners and work in close coordination with the regional organizations such as the African Union and the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, and it will strive to ensure that these wide-ranging efforts avoid duplication, fill gaps, and are aligned with the overall strategy. Our goal is to have the mission's advanced team on the ground before the end of the month. I have written to both the Security Council and the General Assembly with the further details. I thank you in advance for your support. Dr. David Nabarro will continue in his vital role as my special envoy for Ebola, providing strategic direction and galvanizing international support. Excellencies, my colleagues and I will do everything we can to ensure the success of the new mission, but its effectiveness will depend crucially on support from the international community. Our best estimate is that we need a 20-fold increase in assistance. Earlier this week, the United Nations outlined a set of critical needs totaling almost $1 billion over the next 6 months. One key enabler is medevac capacity. This is essential if we are to give the assurances to the heroic international health and aid workers who place themselves at personal risk while serving others. I applaud the leadership of United States President Barack Obama and warmly welcome his announcement that the United States will deploy 3,000 troops to provide expertise in logistics, training, and engineering. I also thank the many governments that have made contributions, including Canada, China, Cuba, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Ethiopia, France, Germany, Ghana, Ireland, Italy, Japan, Kenya, Norway, Qatar, the Russian Federation, Rwanda, South Africa, Switzerland, Uganda, and the United Kingdom. I hope other countries will follow the suit. Airports in Senegal and Spain are serving as logistical hubs. The AU, ECOWAS, European Union, World Bank, African Development Bank, Gates Foundation, and Global Fund are also engaged. We are looking to all those in a position to help. The business community, for example, is well placed to contribute in the health, transport, communications, and information sectors. I also appeal again to major airlines and shipping companies to resume services to the affected countries. Isolation only hampers international efforts to reach people in need. Madam President, distinguished members of the Council, Excellencies, I welcome the resolution to be adopted today by the Security Council. Tomorrow, I'll speak with the General Assembly. 1 week from today, we will gather at the highest level to mobilize political will to meet this extraordinary challenge. We cannot afford delays. The penalty for inaction is high. We need to race ahead of the outbreak and then turn and face it with all our energy and strength. I count on the Security Council's support and that of the General Assembly and all member states in meeting this test. Thank you, Madam President.
I thank His Excellency, the Secretary General, for his statement. I now give the floor to to Dr. David Nabarro, Senior United Nations System Coordinator for Ebola.